I don't write humorous books, but I do write with humour. There's a difference. I also sometimes read with humour, and I'm not just talking about fiction. I'm a great fan of the in memoriam pages of local newspapers where people post tributes to friends and relatives who died. One of my favourites came from the Shropshire Star a number of years ago. Someone had written, "You slipped away without any fuss, so as not to bother any of us." Now look, yes, I do realise that the person who wrote that was grieving. I understand that they were saying exactly what they felt and that they wrote from the heart. But I'm sorry, if you can read that without laughing, you're not the kind of reader my books are looking for. So what kind of humour are you likely to find if you become one of my readers? Well, one reader emailed me to say that he'd taken my book, Zappa's Mam's a Slapper, into hospital to entertain him while he had his gallstones grafted. And he said one scene had made him laugh so much he fell off his bed. This is the scene he was talking about. Billy, the protagonist, has reached the end of his rope. He'd been reunited in his 20s with Poppy, his childhood sweetheart. The love they felt for each other was as strong as it ever had been. They were engaged to be married, and Poppy was pregnant with Billy's child. And then she dies in a hit and run. No, we haven't reached the humorous bit yet. Billy soldiers on for a while, but his heart isn't in it. What he really wants is to be with Poppy again. So he drives to the Severn Bridge that connects England with Wales, and he walks out onto the bridge with the intention of jumping off. What he doesn't know when he starts this journey is that he's being followed by a journalist with a camera. The journalist owes Billy because of a past favour Billy did him, and he wants to make sure that Billy is all right. It's a rather long section, so I'm going to read it to you. After 3 days, I went for a walk in the park. I had the strangest feeling of being followed, but I didn't look round. I left the park on the other side and walked into town, where I found a car rental firm and rented a Fiesta. I didn't need a big car for what I planned to do. I parked outside the flat and waited till it began to get dark. At 8:30 I set off. It took me 2.5 hours to reach the service station on the M48 near the Severn Bridge. Once again I had that feeling of being followed, and from time to time I thought a car in the rearview mirror was one I'd seen before, but I knew I was probably mistaken. I'd chosen this way out because my Googling suggested that people who jumped off the Severn Bridge had a 0 failure rate. The only drawback was that the currents carried bodies through unpredictable directions, and many were never recovered, which meant that no one could be sure you'd actually ended it, or if you had, that you'd meant to. I had dealt with that by leaving a note in the car. I parked and began the walk to the bridge. The feeling of being followed was even stronger, and it came to me that Poppy was with me. I had no idea whether anything comes after death, other than endless silence. But if Poppy was following me, then clearly something did. She was there, beyond the grave, waiting for me. All I had to do was jump, and we'd be together again. There's a walkway the length of the bridge. It's meant for maintenance crews, but it was perfect for my purpose. I would have to walk some distance to get to a place that was well out over the river and not just the rocks. As I walked, I knew, this time for certain, that there was someone behind me. Knew because I could hear footsteps. I didn't believe a ghost would make that sound. I turned to look. It was the journalist who'd interrupted us at Cartmel. He was 100 metres behind me, but as I stood still, he came closer. He held up a camera. "You don't mind, do you, Billy? One last dramatic shot as you go over the side." "How long have you been following me?" "Ever since you got out of hospital. I figured I owed you. I knocked on your door a couple of times. Thought you might need someone just to sit with you for a while. Thought it might help if I told you about my brother. But you didn't answer. And now I see you've decided on a different way out. so I guess there's nothing I can do for you after all. That's right, there isn't. Something you can do for me, though. Editors will be queuing up for this one. Do you think you could throw your arms and legs out wide as you go? Like you were skydiving, only without the parachute. Like you were skydiving, only without the parachute. That was the bit that made my reader laugh so hard he fell off his hospital bed. And yes, the overall story is a sad one. In fact, another reader told me that when she read the scene with which the book ends, she cried. She said, "There's so much sadness in it, but also so much hope." That's the kind of combination I want my readers to feel. Sadness and laughter. Or to put it another way, life.